Blog Talk Radio.
What will it take for you to start opening your eyes, start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pink Atheist. I'm your host, Rachel Johnson, and with me are my co-hosts, Jimmy Williamson and Phil Ferguson.
Hello.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. We do have an exciting episode today, and Phil, you've got a list of the people that are going to be on?
Yeah, we've got a couple people. At the end, we're going to have Jamila Bay, and before her is Kate Donovan. She is involved with the SSA and runs a student group at Northern University. And before we get to all those wonderful people, we have a special guest today, David Silverman. Are you there, David?
I am here, Phil. Thanks for having me on.
Hi, David. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Well, David, what do you got going on right now?
What's going on? Not too much. Just kind of sitting in my office watching dirty movies all day long. Now, we got a bunch of things going on right now, and it's a great question you ask. Tomorrow, I should say right after this podcast, I'm flying down to Florida, and we are having a mobile billboard drive around the presidential debate site tomorrow, and I'm going to be riding in the passenger seat. It is a billboard addressing the bigotry inherent in Mormonism, attracting attention to the fact that nobody is addressing the fact that Mr. Romney belongs to a religion that actually had dogmatic racism involved when he was proselytizing in the 1970s. We feel that it's important that everybody realize the ramifications of having a Mormon president. So we're putting up a publicity push tomorrow to try and get people to talk about that and try and get people to think about the fact that that there are serious ramifications. And all we're looking for with these billboards is for Mr. Romney to answer some questions. We're not making assumptions about what he thinks and what he believes. We are, however, stating that we have the right to ask the questions because of his past and because of what Mormon dogma is. And hopefully we'll be able to get some answers from him so that we can make a more informed decision as a country. And there's going to be much more information about that online on the CNN Belief blogs. Probably any minute now it'll be up online, which is kind of exciting.
Good.
It's on the front page of the Mormon Belief blog now, of the religion blogs on CNN.com now.
Okay.
And do you think that the media is actually avoiding the questions because he is a Mormon?
I do, because when you have I mean, just think about it. If he were recruiting for a whites-only golf club in the 1970s, we would have heard about it. If he were recruiting for a if he were recruiting for the KKK in the 1970s, we would know about it. But because it's a religion, and because there's so much money and power involved in the Mormon Church, nobody is even addressing the fact that Mormonism is just masquerading as Christianity. Nobody is even addressing the fact that he proselytized to Christians to convert them to an overtly racist religion. And we need to talk about that. And yeah, it's all because of the religion. It's all because it's a religion that it's avoided. And I think we all need to know that. We all need to know the details, and we need to make as much noise as we can, so that, again, we're not picking sides in the election, but we are saying we know the ramifications of a Christian president. We do not know the ramifications of a Mormon president as a country.
Right.
Do you want him to have his John F. Kennedy moment?
I do. That's exactly what I'm looking for. John F. Kennedy, great example. Hey, Mr. Kennedy, you're a Catholic. As a Catholic, you take cues from the leader of the Catholic Church, the Pope. What are you going to do if the Pope tells you to do something unconstitutional? Reasonable question. We got a reasonable answer. And now, Mr. Romney, as a Mormon man, his first responsibility is to the Mormon Church.
Right.
Well, what happens if the Mormon Church tells him to do something that's unconstitutional? Like, I don't know, funnel more federal faith-based money to the Mormon Church. Or, I don't know, get on the church's side officially as far as eliminating the gay marriage amendments across the state. What we've seen from the Mormon Church already is that they are willing to spend millions and millions of dollars to stop non-Mormons from behaving in a non-Mormon way. That's what they did in California. And I think the atheists need to be afraid of that, and I think the Christians and Jews and Muslims need to be afraid of that if we have a Mormon president. Not just all Mormon presidents, not all Mormon people. Some. I mean, Mr. Romney might come out and say, hey, if they say something to me that's not right, the Constitution comes first. I believe in a strong separation of church and state. Well, that's fine with us. We're going to take him at his word, but we are going to insist that the questions be asked.
Because I understood there was an old doctrine that said they even have to ask for permission to run for office.
That I'm not familiar with, but I'm pretty sure he got permission.
Yeah. Right.
If there's a doctrine, I'm pretty sure he got permission. I'm pretty sure they're pretty happy with him right now. I mean, talk about normalization. We have this fantasy. Well, not a fantasy. We have this objective of a normalized atheism in America. This is what it looks like, folks. When you go from real obscurity to almost president. That's what normalization looks like. That's what a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of advertising will do. But that's fine, melting pot, diverse country, etc. But before you take the Oval Office, let's talk about whether you're going to use your power to infringe on our rights.
Absolutely.
And that's what's happening tomorrow.
And there's a lot of Christian websites that used to list Mormonism as a cult that have now removed that and changed it to where they're saying that it's okay now. That I find scary because they're willing to give up on what they obviously thought to go to Mormonism now, but it's political. It's not religious at all. It's political.
And that's the exact truth. When you look at Billy Graham, who just endorsed Mitt Romney over Barack Obama, if you were to boil down Christianity to its number one tenet, the first tenet of Christianity, it's also the same as the first tenet of Islam and the same as the first tenet of Judaism. There is one God. Mormonism does not fall into that category. Mormonism is polytheistic. Mormonism says there's just one God here, but there's millions of other gods of equal power, and none of them created the universe. It's a polytheistic universe. This is something that Billy Graham just endorsed in order that he didn't have to endorse a candidate that was pro-gay rights, okay, or pro-choice. They gave up on their number one tenet, the number one tenet, in order to do something that's half a sentence, in order to obey half a sentence in Leviticus. And that's why, I mean, when you look at it, if he hadn't done it, it's kind of a smart move and kind of a stupid move. It's a stupid move because it really pollutes, and that's not the best word choice, but it really pollutes the purity of Christianity when they come out and they say, oh, well, we're going to, this is Christianity, this is Christianity. Oh, that polytheism religion over there with the magic underwear, yeah, that's Christianity too. It pollutes them, so it hurts us. But it also really shows that it's not about religion at all. It's about politics. And if he hadn't done that, this would have been the first election in a very long time that evangelical Christianity was not relevant. So this made him stay a player in the political scene, but he polluted his entire faith as a result. The number one thing that Mormon missionaries do, the number one sect of Christianity or the number one group of people that Mormons recruit, I should say, is Southern Baptist Christians, like Billy Graham, and they recruit them away from the monotheistic religion to a polytheistic religion, and Billy Graham still took their side. It's really interesting to watch.
It is.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing tomorrow, and in a couple of months, we're having our big convention. I wanted to mention this, and then we'll talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. We're having the 50th annual national convention at American Atheist. We've been doing this for 50 years now, and we are having a total blowout. It should be the largest atheist convention in American Atheist history. We're going for 1,500 people. I don't know if we'll get there, but we got it maxed out there. And we have a lineup that is really stellar, including A.C. Grayling, including Catherine Stewart. We have J.J. French coming, and nobody knows who that is until I say that he's the lead guitarist for Twisted Sister. And he's going to be coming and talking about religion in rock and roll, which is going to be kind of exciting. So we're really excited to have this lineup. It's all at atheist.org, and the tickets are on sale now, and they are selling pretty darn quickly. So if you're interested in going, now would be a time to go over to atheist.org to register for our kick-ass convention. We're going to make the American Atheist Convention the be-all and end-all atheist convention of the year on an ongoing basis. So there's a lot of conventions popping up. This is the one you're going to want to go to because it's going to be the biggest, the longest, and the most reasonably priced.
Wonderful.
So now what do you want to talk about?
And we will mention that Blair Scott normally plugs that when he's on, which is normally every week. He's not on this week, but he does plug that quite regularly, and we love it. Good.
And it's gonna. I'm really excited about it because I'm putting together all of these really fantastic speakers. Let me just go down this list a little bit. Okay, Richard Carrier is going to be there. Janet Heimlich, Greta Christina, Teresa McBain, Matt Dillahunty, Jessica Alquist, Hector Avalos, Ophelia Benson, Jamila Bay, Ed Buckner, Troy Conrad, Elizabeth Cornwell. You know that big survey that just came out that quantified how much money the government loses on tax revenue that goes to the church?
Right.
That was like $71 billion. This is a quantitative independent study run by a man named Dr. Ryan Cragen, and he's going to be coming to the convention. Jerry DeWitt, J.T. Eberhard, Damon Fowler, Linda Lascala will be there, Dale McGowan, Tony Penn, Bob Price, Edwina Rogers, Cara Santa Maria. It's just going to be a huge, awesome convention. And after all is said and done, after all the speakers are mentioned, what a convention is really about is fun. It's really about just going and having a really great time. So there's going to be a costume party. There's going to be live music. There's going to be dancing. There's going to be a pub crawl. This is going to be a fun event that you will hopefully remember, that stands out in your memory of conventions that you go to during your lifetime. We're going to have a good time. 50th anniversary. It's going to be great.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Oh, we're going to have an art show, too. We're going to have the first, I think it's our first ever, I think it's the industry's, the movement's first ever art show, specifically designed for atheist artists. So you're going to be able to come, and you're going to be able to see art by real atheist artists who want to show their wares. And there are going to be some very special atheist artists there. I can't announce one yet, but I'm going to soon. And that's going to be kind of exciting.
Good.
Yeah. So what else do you want to talk about?
Rachel, do you want to go into anything real quick?
Well, I do want to slip this in there. Anybody who's trying to get into the chat room, it's still down, and I'm currently contacting tech support to see what we can do. So hang with us, guys, and we'll try to get it back up as soon as possible.
I understand that they can hear us, and if you can hear us and you want to talk, chat's broken, but please call in the number 213-943-8255. 888-866-3480. Give us a call, and we'd love to talk to you. And speaking of which, we do have a caller that's called in that has a light up that says they want to talk, so let's see who this is. Welcome to Pink Atheist.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello? Oh, hi.
Hello.
My name is... Hi, all. My name is Salahuddin from New York City. I really appreciate your show because on Sundays, as you well know, that it's mostly spiritual shows or religious shows. And no, I just have. I wouldn't say I've been closeted, but in terms of my atheism, but I pretty much through listening to Matt Dillahunty and David Silverman, just my access to these pundits and atheist activists on YouTube and your show, listening to a few of your shows in archive, I've really come to terms with my desire to leave any kind of, even I've thought of myself as an agnostic, even to really definitively pretty much leave it behind. I mean, I've had some very bad experiences, obviously, I'm sure we all have, with any of those of us who've been brought up in a particular religion, with the irrationality of it and the utter hypocrisy. And I just wanted to connect with you all, and as the gentleman said, not just to talk about the beliefs or lack of belief that we have, or our experiences, but just to connect with people who are just not burdened by all that nonsense, man. Just somebody who is not, doesn't punctuate every sentence with thank God. And I had just one little anecdote here. I had a sister.
We try to stay away from that. We do tend to stay away from that.
but I real quickly, I had a sister, and she was she was very religious, and I always she was my oldest sister, and I looked up to her, and I always tried to try to get on her good side. She was my big sister, and as I grew up, she's passed away now, but as I was growing up, when I would do any kindness to her, demonstrate any kindness to her or give her anything, she would always thank God, and she wouldn't thank me. And then I confronted her about that, and she says, well, it was God that put it on your heart to do that for me. And I says, well, I had to agree to it, right? And she says, well, no, but God is the one. And she just was she was, I guess they would say, so heavenly minded that she was no earthly good. And I could not reason with her. And to me, even watching Matt Dillahunty and listening to your archives, I get a sense that fundamentally the religionists the theists pretty much are immoral. That may sound like a generalization, but that's been my experience. Any thoughts?
Well, I think Penn Jillette put it very well, when he said that if you do good in order to get rewarded in heaven, that's not being moral, that's being greedy. And he's correct. And this is why morality is so skewed in this country, because people don't really know what morality is, because they're told that when you act selfishly in order to get into heaven, that's acting selflessly. That's acting generously. That's acting morally. And when you act in a good way, even if you don't pay any attention to God, that's God's doing. And, of course, they never take the opposite effect of when you do something bad, that's not God's doing. Okay? But a lot of people simply do not understand the concept of morality, because they think the concept of morality comes from religion. And, therefore, the absence of religion is the absence of morality. And if you're doing it something for religion or for religious belief, there is no immorality. And that's the dangerous point. That's the dangerous place. One of the things that I do, when people ask me about morality, one of the things that I ask people is, okay, first I'm going to tell you that I'm going to ask you a trick question. And then I say, all right, having told you that I'm going to tell you a quick trick question, here is the trick question. What would you do if your preacher said something which you find totally immoral? And normally they will say, well, I'll pray about it. Well, I'll talk to the preacher. Well, I'll read the Bible. Or in some cases, well, I'll leave the church. But never do they say, well, that's not possible because my morality comes from my preacher. Okay, and that's when they start to understand that morality comes from within, and religion simply just takes the credit for it. And that's something that we really have to raise awareness of.
You know, when I was in school, it helped me to become, Lawrence Kohlberg's Stages of Moral Reasoning, and that, as you pointed out, that helped me to gain some insight in terms of, because I was raised to believe the same thing. I think all of us were pretty much brought up in this culture anyway, that we're not agents of good, that we were born in sin, and I just felt that burden of it really engendered a sense of low side. I was constantly trying to compensate for this sense of my worthlessness, and I was told that was a good thing, by my parents. And I don't fault them. Quite frankly, at some point, I really hated them, and then I came to understand that they were also suffering because they were spending all their lives trying to compensate for a sense of something that a fiction that may in a Garden of Eden between two people that never existed.
That's right.
So and it's really scary and it's very sad.
And you shouldn't be angry at religious people, because when it comes right down to it, religious people are by and large victims of religion. And it needs to be recognized that you were pressured and brainwashed by your parents to do this kind of thing, but they were pressured and brainwashed by their parents, and so on and so on. So as much as you want to get angry at your religious parents for inflicting religion on you, they were just doing what they were brainwashed to do themselves. And brainwashing is the correct word, and we need to start using it.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for calling, and thank you for listening to the show.
You can stay on hold, and we'll keep you there, and we may bring you back on in a little bit. All right, Dave, I had a few questions because, as you know, as you may know, we try to promote local groups on this show quite a bit, and we bring in, normally every week we have a group, an SSA group, or even just a local atheist group. And a lot of them affiliate with different organizations, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. Are you prepared to do that today? Oh, sure. We could talk. I can talk about just about anything for a very, very long time. So it's true, I've heard of. So I'll just talk briefly about affiliates. One of the things that I truly believe I have a very good grasp on is the fact that our mission, our big picture mission, will not succeed without the help of the local groups. Okay, it cannot happen without grassroots efforts. And the reason I say that is because it's just simply too much. There's simply too much to do. American Atheists, if you took all American Atheists, the AAHA, FFRF, CFI, all together, we can't do everything. We need the local groups to do it, and that's why it is our job as national groups to help the local groups grow. It must be, and it's certainly my job as president of American Atheists to do what I can to help local activist groups grow as well. So we at American Atheists, we have two levels of affiliation, and it's working out pretty well so far. The first level is a simple affiliation, which is what we've had all the time, and it's free, and it's non-exclusive. You can be affiliates with other groups as well. But one of the things that we will do for our affiliates is not only push people to you from the website, but also from the magazine. And I'm very proud to say that American Atheist magazine is now on sale on Barnes & Noble nationwide. So you can just walk into a Barnes & Noble and pick up an American Atheist magazine.
Oh, I got to go buy one. Even if I get it, I got to go buy one just to reward them for that.
And please do. Yeah. And if you find a Barnes & Noble that doesn't have it, because they can all do it on an individual level, ask for it. Ask for it by name. Actually go up to the service center and say, do you have this magazine? But at any rate, what that means is that this is the first time that the word atheist is facing out on the magazine shelves of Barnes & Noble nationwide and Charter Indigo in Canada. And what that means is that anybody walking in the store can pick up a magazine, flip it open, find a local affiliate right near them, and become aware of their local affiliates, in real time. And that's something that I think will help all of our affiliates nationwide as time goes on. We've only gone through 2 months, two cycles with Barnes & Noble, but so far the results are pretty promising. Now, for those organizations that are mature and they have their own charter and they have a stable board and they're activist, or at least to some extent they're activist, they can become a local partner. And a local partner is also non-exclusive, and it's not really a partnership as much as it is a working partnership. It's not a corporate partnership. But basically what that means is that I'm going to start spending a little bit of American Atheist money to help them grow. And a good example of that is our local partner, Minnesota Atheists. And they had, what we did is we had a regional atheist event up there, and we paid for almost everything. And we break even when we do this. We put up a big billboard, and we contributed towards a game day at the local baseball team. But we got them in the news. We got them aware. We raised the awareness of their group, and we come out at a break even when we do those. And that's our objective, because the regional conventions, the purpose is to grow the local partner. So there's 2 things there that we're doing right now for our local groups. Now there's another set of local groups, and those local groups are the local organizations that are not affiliated with us. If we find a situation where somebody needs a local group and there's no affiliate with us, there's no affiliate near them, we will send them to a non-affiliated group. But really, because there's no obligation, there's no cost, we are hoping that every local group will join up and become an affiliate of American Atheists and be put into our magazine.
Great. Great. And we'll push for that as much as we can with the groups that we have that come on each week. Great.
That's great. And this way, what we'll have is, like I said, stronger local groups. And, our first RAM was in the North Alabama area, and they nearly doubled in size in that one RAM with paying customers and became more independent, it became closer to critical mass.
What's your next
so now
RAM?
we have a place, now we have an organization, an activist atheist organization in North Alabama that we didn't have before.
Right. What's the next RAM, David?
Well, we just had one, and we don't have another one planned right now. The next event that we're having, we're going to have an end of the world party in December, December 21st, right here in New Jersey. That's going to be fun. It's not going to be a RAM so much as it's going to be a party. And then the next convention on my radar right now is the national convention. And
give me the dates on that again.
That's March 28th through 31st, 2013. That's in Austin, Texas. And, yes, that is Easter weekend. We usually have our conventions on Easter weekend because it's cheap, and atheists have nothing else to do. So we usually do it on Easter weekend. We've done it on Easter weekend every winter, every year except last year when we moved it to be next to the Reason Rally.
Right. And so everybody should go there.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a great place. They have a bat bridge, a bridge right next to the hotel. Okay, and underneath the bridge there are 1 million or so bats, and they fly out every night at sunset, all at once. And it's right next to the hotel. And we're going to have our fundraising dinners on Thursday night, the 28th, and it's going to be on the top floor of the hotel overlooking the bat bridge for the bat flyout. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yep. Pretty excited.
Well, that sounds great, David. Anything else you want to cover before we move on?
No. I just want to thank you for having me on. The website, as everybody knows, is atheists.org, and we're going to have that's about it. We're having a lot of fun, and I hope that everybody joins American Atheists. We are,
and they get a convention discount, right?
No. Well, they get a convention discount as a member. If they join first, they get a convention discount, yes.
Yeah,
if they join first, they get a convention discount. And students get a special price of only $30. So they can actually come to the convention and attend the convention for $30. We want lots and lots of students. What?
In Austin, it's just $30 for all those big people for the 50th anniversary.
That's correct.
That's
correct.
amazing.
$30 for a student. You guys got to bring your student ID, and you can come. And we're selling a full third of our tickets will be for students. So come on down. Let's have some fun.
What's your capacity for that convention?
The total capacity is 1,500 people. I don't know if we're going to make it. I don't know if we're going to get that big, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to have over 1,000 people. Now, at the last convention, we had 1,350 people. That was bigger than TAM. And so I mean, just put things into perspective here. We had an atheist convention that was bigger than TAM. And TAM is huge, and TAM is awesome, and TAM is fun. So if you've not been, well, first of all, if you haven't been to TAM, you should go to TAM. But also, if you haven't been to an American Atheist convention, that's where that's the convention to go to for some serious conventioneering.
Well, I tell you, I've been 4 years in a row, and I was in D.C., and that was amazing. I don't know. The cost of these things is affordable. It's a great weekend of entertainment, comedy, music, great speakers, and even just randomly walking down the hallway, you meet wonderful and interesting people. My biggest problem with conventions, I get PCD, that's post-convention depression, on Monday when I got to go back to the real world.
Yes, that's what I call sleep day. I still remember clearly that first day after the convention, after the Reason Rally, when I just kind of stayed in my room and just stared at the ceiling for a while and didn't do anything, and it was just wonderful. It was just wonderful. Those days are gone. Hey, I got to head out to Florida.
Okay, well, thank you, David.
Hey, thanks all of you for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. I hope to come on again, and I'll see you all sometime soon.
Okay, sounds wonderful. Good luck.
Thanks
so much. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Okay. Wow.
All right.
So,
who's next?
Guys?
I think we should go ahead and hit Ed Cobbs because we did push our Mars event a little back because we knew that David had a prior arrangement and had to get out pretty quick. So let's see if we can get Ed on the line. Ed, are you there?
I'm here, Jimmy.
All right. Let's get our Mars fix in.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming over and listening to us. We're going to start with the weather report. This data comes as of October 18th, and for those of you that are on the Martian calendar, that's Sol 72. At that time, the high was 28 degrees Fahrenheit with a low of negative 101 degrees. That's below zero there, people. Atmospheric pressure inched up just a tad to 7.86 millibars. The winds are still out of the east at 4.5 miles per hour. I've been saying that we're going into spring on Mars, yet these temperatures indicate, especially the high temperatures, they've actually been dropping off with a high as of September 28th of 44 degrees Fahrenheit, and now we're down to 28 degrees. That's counterintuitive, but we'll see how that pans out. Moving over to Curiosity itself, it's still at a site called Rock Nest, and it's been there for a little better than a week now. I want to turn your attention to another aspect of the Curiosity mission, and that's the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter that relays data from Curiosity to JPL. And that particular satellite fell into what they are calling a safing cycle. Okay, to you and me, that just means it fell into standby mode. And when it does that, very little works on it. It's just doing all it can to stay in orbit. When that happens, of course, Curiosity can no longer communicate with JPL. So, what do they do over there at JPL? They bring in another spacecraft that's also orbiting Mars called the Mars Odyssey. and that picked up the communications duties while they were trying to figure out what was wrong with the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. When they did that, they found that all it just needed a software update. They uploaded that software update to the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. It became fully functional and resumed its communication relay duties for Curiosity. So, there you go. We got Curiosity's not out there alone. It's got help. Okay. The past 10 days or so, everyone's been talking about these two objects that were spotted and relating to the sample taking activities that Curiosity is doing. 3 scoops was taken. The first scoop, they noticed something that wasn't really part of the scoop, but it was something that they felt was supposed to be there. Now, for those of you on our podcast page, if you're looking at that slideshow that we have presenting, besides those very flattering pictures of our host and co-host, you're going to see another photograph there of what just looks like dirt, some pebbles. And just near the center of that, just below, just off center a bit, you're going to notice something that, well, doesn't belong. And that's what they spotted at NASA. They determined that that was a man-made piece of material, probably either fell off the Curiosity's turret. Some of them are saying that it fell off a sky crane during Curiosity's landing. But whatever it is, it's still man-made, but it doesn't really pose any real threat to the Curiosity's continued mission. The second thing they found is a little bit more intriguing. That piece of material that unfortunately I wasn't able to get here on in time with, but that is indigenous to Mars, and they're wanting to take more analysis of that, but that's still weeks down the road, so hopefully we'll hear more about that. On the third and final scoop they did, they were able to introduce that into the internal laboratory called Kimen, and that's the first time they're using that particular instrument. Again, it'll be a few weeks before we get any data from that. And that's where it stands this week for Curiosity on Mars. I have to say myself, we have a great show outlined for everyone. So without further ado, Phil, Jimmy, Rachel, back to you guys.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Very good show. Very good this week. It's interesting information, actually.
yeah, it is. I actually want to ask before we get too off of here. You're saying that there's a piece that was found that they think was man-made or that they think may have come off the sky crane, and then another piece. Did you get into that enough, or have you heard enough information that they know what it is yet, or do they have any information?
At this point, all they know is it is the same material that's indigenous to Mars. Why it's different, it could be no more than the sunlight just reflected off it at the right time, at the right place. But they do want to take a further look at it. And now that we're in this phase here, everything slows down a bit, unfortunately. We're not going to get those quick answers because this is real scientific experimentation, and this is going to take time. That's why I'm saying we're looking at weeks down the road before we start receiving this data. They did indicate, though, that we're not going to have to wait for this to show up in journals like Nature or something like that. As soon as they get it, we'll get it. They just want to be sure that they're giving us something credible when they do.
Good. And any more information on the rock that we talked about last week?
No, they did not comment on that. They were very focused on these two pieces of material that they found. I would suspect, however, that they will get back to, if you're talking about that rock, Jake Matejevich, I think they'll get back to that. There are chemical studies, and they take a while.
Okay. All right. So you're going to keep us posted on that as it comes in, I'm sure. So
I most certainly will.
All right. Rachel, you got anything? We don't normally get a chance to actually interview Ed, who is our science contributor, but I think we should a little bit more.
No, I'm good. I do know that we should have Jamila and Kate coming on here soon. It's actually interesting that they found something that seems man-made. Looking forward to hearing exactly what that is and where it could originate.
Oh, and also remember, this is all new here, where we're staring off into the unknown. So I would suspect that this is the first of many things we don't understand that we're going to run into. Luckily, they got 2 laboratories there that'll help us try to evaluate what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of this is very in-depth information and very technical, especially seeing how we're dealing with NASA. So, we're going to try to post links for everybody, and you can get in as deep or as shallow as you can take it, because this is a lot of overwhelming information, and we're aware of that.
We're still talking about science, right?
I was wondering. She went off, and I didn't really know.
So if I can just jump in one more time here, at our podcast page, I'll put in a link to the last update that we got from NASA, and that'll talk a lot more in depth about what I just talked about in the brief time I had. Also understand, if you don't understand this stuff, use the power of the internet. You can look this stuff up. It'll give it to you in layman's terms. That's how I do it.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, we could talk about science all day. So.
All right. Well, Ed, we do appreciate it, and we look to start getting, like I said, some more callers call in and possibly question, and we're encouraging that. Listeners, if you have any questions for Ed, please call in. And Ed, please keep the page posted with all of the information that you're sharing.
I certainly will, and I'm like everybody else that comes out here. I can talk all day about this stuff.
All right. Till next week.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay. And now, Phil, I know that you have something that you wanted to talk about us before we go to Kate. Is that right?
Yeah. My big news this morning, I got up bright and early, 5:30 in the morning to go to church. Drove 2 hours to get to Springfield, Illinois, and we put on a little protest. I think it's called the Cathedral for the Immaculate Conception, because if nothing else, Catholics like really big words. We went over there to protest Bishop Paprocki, who had about a month ago put up a video where he said that several planks of the Democratic National Platform promoted intrinsic evils, and that anyone that voted for someone that supported intrinsic evils was culpable, and their eternal salvation was at risk themselves. So we started, the internet just went crazy with this guy's talk. Matter of fact, it got so bad, the Catholic Church itself filed a infringement of their copyright to not only demand that Google take it down, but that makes Google go chase everyone else to take it down. So we planned this protest for this Sunday, but a little gift was brought down to me from the Flying Spaghetti Monster first thing this morning. Yesterday, Paprocki posted a brand new video where he went at length to explain that people aren't paying attention to what he said and misinterpreted his words. And he's not really saying that you can't vote for Democrats, and that for him to tell you who to vote for would be wrong, and that who is or is not going to go to heaven would basically be, what did he call it, a sin of presumption, because there's no way for him to know. But in that same video, he reiterated again that if you vote for someone that supports intrinsic evils, you will go to hell, and that's what God basically told him. So he's a contradiction. We showed up in Springfield about 9 o'clock and were immediately greeted by police officers. And they had apparently 4 squad cars waiting for us there. And they came and talked to us, and they were actually very nice and handed us a printed pamphlet of rules, which basically boiled down to don't block the sidewalk and be nice. And as long as we followed those rules, we were free to be there as much as we wanted to because it's a public sidewalk. We had, I think, 2 people who yelled at us. One said, "You should be ashamed." When we asked ashamed of what, we didn't get any further explanation. It's hard to have a conversation when people are yelling at you on the sidewalk. A second person walked by us and mumbled something angrily. But we had quite a few people that came up to us and talked to us and actually expressed that they shared our concern about the leadership of the church going beyond its religious role in their lives and telling them what to do in their personal lives and who to vote for. So that was delightful to see. And we were there, and when people got out of service, we were still there holding our little cheesy signs, and then we went and had a nice lunch. That's my story.
Wow.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Well, it's good that everything turned out good for you. No arrests, I take it.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping when we saw 4 squad cars, we weren't sure if that was to protect the church, which was basically this fortified castle, or to protect us from the Catholics. But everything went fine, and like I said, the vast majority of people were very nice, very respectful, and we were downright surprised by the people that came and talked to us and said, "Yeah, you guys are actually right. He shouldn't be telling us how to vote."
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we do have Kate on the line with us, and she is ready. So we can go ahead and move on and talk to her then. So if you, Kate, are you there?
Hello? Hi? I'm here.
Hi. Hi, Kate. Welcome to the show.
Fantastic to be here. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. I live in a house of 11 other people, so I sort of departed there hoping to find something slightly quieter.
And you do this by choice?
Yes, I do. They're actually people I've lived with for several years now.
Excellent.
And most of them are very studious, so a lot of the time it's very quiet, but I never know when someone's going to sort of come in and slam the door.
So Kate, tell us where you're going to school and what's the group you're involved with there?
I go to school at Northwestern, so just north of Chicago, and I'm the president of the Northwestern Secular Student Alliance.
And what events have you guys put on?
So this quarter we sort of got everything happening all at once. Our big central event is Carl Sagan Day, which is November 1st. We're actually doing it with, coffee shop, not as quiet as I thought it would be. We're doing it with the DePaul SSA affiliate and the Chicago SSA affiliate, all together downtown in Chicago, and it's turning into something really fantastic. We were sponsored by the Adler and some local adult groups, and it's going to be a really spectacular event. But we're also traveling to Skepticon, doing Veritas Forum, which is a sort of debate/discussion with the Christian groups on campus, as well as weekly meetings. And I actually had brunch with the SSA this morning.
That is fantastic. When is that Darwin Day thing again?
Sorry?
What day is the Darwin Day?
The Sagan?
Oh, the Sagan Day?
Sagan Day.
Sagan Day is happening on the 1st of November.
So that's in 10 days.
Yes, it is. We keep trying to pretend that's untrue. It's been scheduled for quite a while. All of our speakers and everything is in. It's just more a matter of, I have midterms happening this week. So I'm going to emerge from midterms and throw myself into Sagan Day.
So how many students are in your group?
There's about 175 people in our Facebook group. But students who show up regularly, there's about 20 to 25 people. There were about 20 people at brunch this morning who rolled out of bed and walked down to get breakfast food with us. And then meetings usually are 15 people. I think it's probably a good amount.
Well, that is great. Any other events you got coming up, or how can people reach you?
Oh, my goodness. So we have a Twitter account. We have all of the social media, which is @NU_SSA. And then we've got our Facebook page, which is more of our sort of in-group conversational stuff. But there's also a fan page where we post different things like events, interviews, events that are happening near us. And that's more for anyone and everyone.
And just in case someone doesn't know, and I don't know if you said it, where is Northwestern?
Northwestern is north of Chicago, just very slightly. Okay. It's a suburb of Chicago called Evanston.
So if you have a guest speaker or an event, is the public welcome to that?
Of course, yes. And we try to post everything around Chicago as well.
You could have tens of thousands of people within a 30 to 60-minute drive come in, see your speakers and your events and all that stuff.
Yeah, and we do. We often invite the Chicago Skeptics, and we have a lot of more attendance at events like that.
Well, that is fantastic. How many are going to Skepticon?
So there's at least 4 or 5 of us with rooms, but you have to understand that Skepticon falls during midterms week for us, sort of the end of midterms, heading into finals. Every 3 weeks we have quarters are the system that we're doing, so we do 3 semesters in the span of most people having 2 semesters. So every 3 weeks people are looking at midterms or finals. So traveling is pretty hard. So 4 people is a massive amount.
Sure.
Yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. I hadn't.
Well, look us up when you're there. Look us up when you're there. I understand that Jimmy and Rachel decided to go.
Oh,
yeah, we're all going to be there.
I'll be around the Foundation Beyond Belief tabling too. It's I'm an intern for Foundation Beyond Belief, so I'll be pretty easy to spot, I'm sure.
Well, good. That sounds wonderful. And, yeah, Jimmy and I are both looking forward to going to Skepticon as well, and this will be my first year ever going, so I'm going to have fun figuring out what it's all about.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'll see you there.
Okay. And thank you for coming on the show with us.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
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 Just another student changing the world for the better. I mean, it's amazing. Hundreds of people on their Facebook groups, speakers, events. I'm so excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think everybody's getting a little bit excited about Skepticon and how big it's going to be this year, and it's going to be interesting. So.
Well, I was going to go until I heard Pink Atheist was going to be there, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, there goes the house, right? It's going to be downhill.
Have we figured out what we're going to do there yet?
Well, what I was thinking, and we're actually, I guess, going to do this on the air. Perhaps we'll just find a table. Atheist Alliance of America is probably going to be there, and American Atheists. They all have tables. We may just find a table, sit at it, and say that we're going to be live on the air, and perhaps find some people there to talk to.
Oh, that's fantastic. Maybe we can do a whole bunch of interviews for the following weeks.
Yeah,
that would work too.
And if nothing else, we can, look like we know what we're doing in the middle of the crowd. So,
yay!
I think it's going to be a great time, and it'll be great to interact with other people and see how that's going on. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I heard that for people over the age of 21, there was alcohol.
Really? Because I was not aware.
Okay, I'm so in now. I'm definitely, I'm in.
Yeah. Can't get booze in Alabama, eh?
Oh no, I get them regularly. Yeah. The IV thing is what I'm shooting for. I'm just trying to get that down.
You don't want one of them caps that hold 2 beer cans and some big straws?
No, I do not.
Are you looking for intravenous support there?
Yeah. Now intravenously, I'll go there.
I just was at the liquor store yesterday and I bought me some limoncello, and for my limoncello fan listeners out there, we went to Italy this June, and I haven't had limoncello for 4 months, so I had to go buy a bottle.
Wow, what is limoncello?
Limoncello is fermented lemon zest.
Interesting.
And it tastes like really sweet and syrupy lemonade with one hell of a vodka kick. It's basically what it is. But it's not vodka. I mean, it's lemon. It's all lemon sugar, fermentation, water, things like that. And, of course, there's hundreds of ways to make it. But we went to a town called Sorrento, and that is the home of lemons, so one of the largest lemon growing regions in the world, and they make limoncello there. So we had taste testings, and every restaurant you went to, you could get limoncello before, after, or during your meal, and maybe all three. But I was kind of feeling in the mood for it, so I bought some limoncello. Oh, I was going to say, if anyone speaks Italian and is a local phone call, or at least a U.S. phone call, please look me up. I need some people to practice my Italian on. I've spent the last 10 months learning Italian, and I have no one to talk to in Italian.
Yeah. I know Italian is close to Spanish, and I speak fluent Spanish, and I'm learning German, which is a bit tedious, but I don't have the top Italian.
I've learned so much Italian that I can understand what busboys say in restaurants now.
Oh, that's always good.
Because, like you said, it's very similar to Spanish.
Yeah. People actually get surprised when they hear me talking in Spanish. I've been asked if I'm American or if I'm Mexican before, so it gets a little interesting.
Really?
Oh yes.
You don't have the look of someone from Mexico.
Yeah. Passing off Mexico, no.
I can actually get the accent going so thick that it sounds like I'm not quite American. So.
Well, tell us something.
Yo no sé qué decirte. Es que mi idioma es como los mexicanos son igualmente de mi gente.
Wow, I got nothing out of that.
I got nothing.
My favorite phrase. My daughter said her favorite phrase in Italian. I'll give it to you. Is "Vorrebbe sedersi dentro o all'aperto."
I know you said inside, adentro.
Yeah, it's something you might be asked when you go into a restaurant. Would you like to sit inside or outside?
Okay. So see, they are somewhat similar, but I know Italian has some different versions of words, and that's what throws me off. So it's a beautiful language.
The one that
I speak English.
and you do that pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the extent of it.
Yeah, once we count in your handicap from Alabama, you're really good.
Oh. Phil.
Look at the time.
So you went to church this morning, and this is what you bring back?
Yeah.
He went to church
hate.
this morning.
Well, we thought about it later that we should have had someone up in the loft, if they had one with a video camera, wait to see if they talked about us outside. There was a gentleman who came out and was chatting with me, and he's like, hey, guys, can I get a group picture? And I said, yeah, if you come out in the middle of the service. He's like, why not now? And I said, well, it's kind of counterproductive to our purposes to stop picketing and pose for a picture while everybody's coming in. He goes, oh, yeah, actually, that makes sense. I was like, oh, okay. And he was really nice. He's like, what do you guys hope to accomplish here? And I said, well, we're just trying to bring attention to the issue that the Catholic Church is, at least one person of the Catholic Church is explicitly telling people how to vote. Oh, I forgot to mention, we had Channel 17 News, I think they're Bloomington, Springfield. These are Illinois stations. And Channel 20 News, which I think is specifically Springfield, sent crews out and interviewed people.
Oh.
So, I mean, we were very small, and people were like, well, you're not going to change anything by doing that. And I was like, I really didn't fantasize that we would. The idea is out there to be seen. I know a lot of atheists kind of look at it as, you know, what's the point of standing out and making noise? And I guess my snarky retort is that 2,000 years of silence has not served us well. It's when the books come out, it's when the blogs come out, it's when people speak up and tell their friends and neighbors that something that's ridiculous is ridiculous, that we've actually made all this headway.
Yeah. I mean,
well, we have one of our callers on that calls quite regularly. Let's just bring him into the conversation for a minute. Kevin, are you there?
Hey, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Rachel? What's up?
Not much. How's it going?
Pretty good. Really enjoyed that. The everything that's been going on so far. Definitely looking forward to we're trying to get out to that convention out there in Texas. Kind of discouraged that I missed the first Reason rally, so I really want to catch up on this one. I heard the next Reason rally is not going to be until 2016. Is that true? That's quite a long time from now.
That is true, and that was going to be one of my. This is Phil, in case anyone can't tell my voice yet. That was one of the questions I was going to ask David, but we got on other subjects. They had originally talked about doing it every 5 to 10 years, but then they decided to do it every 4 years because it would be an election year. So the next Reason rally will be in 2016. That event took over a year, probably close to 2 years, to organize and orchestrate and get permissions and everything put together. And it wasn't just American Atheists. It was about 15 different secular groups coming together. So it would, if they did it every year, you would have no other national conventions.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But it was an amazing. I was there, and not only were the speakers amazing, but the crowd was amazing. I mean, there were people sharing umbrellas. There was just such a sense of community there, and people were talking, to complete strangers. And when it came to protesters, barely any showed up, and what did weren't, worth much time and investment. So it was absolutely amazing, and it's actually the reason that we're here today, because it motivated me to get more active and become a bigger part of the community. So the Reason Rally, it was fun and wonderful, even though we were standing in the pouring rain and it was cold. It was so worth it.
Well, I was kind of glad it had rain because no one could tell that I was crying tears of joy over the event. I've been waiting a long time. I've been an out atheist since 13, so that's over 30 years. And it's only in the last 5-7 years that we've really started to see a big difference. And to go to that event and be there with 20, 30,000, whatever the official number of people was definitely an awesome event.
It was. And the speakers were so impressive. And they understood, and they were getting wet with us because the rain wasn't, picking and choosing. It was just going every which way but loose. And so it was wonderful, and I can't wait for the next one. I'm definitely going to be there no matter what. I want to see how that goes because I can imagine it doubling in size by then. Seeing how the number of atheists
I would expect 50,000 people next time.
Yeah, I'm I think that the more publicity it gets and the more people know about it and the more atheists that are coming out of the closet and the more we're seeing that, the better it's going to get, the bigger it's going to get. And it's just going to be a great momentum forward.
Well, I know here in central Illinois, the Springfield had a skeptics society that's been around for 20 years. Outside of Chicago or St. Louis, there was nothing. And now there's a group in Peoria, Illinois. There's a group in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois. There is a group in Champaign-Urbana. There's a group in Springfield that's free thinkers and not just skeptics. And almost all those colleges have groups. And Bloomington Normal has a group. Champaign has a group. So, and then over in Indiana, there's multiple groups. So within a 2 or 3 hour car ride now for me, there's about 8, 9, 10 groups that are all new within the last 6 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive right there. And
the movement is really impressive. It's growing so rapidly the entire movement. And SSA, I know, Phil, the work y'all do is amazing, because that's getting the younger crowd involved and showing them to, get out and do things. That's the biggest one to me. The SSA is a big one.
SSA is huge. CFI also has an organization that promotes college student groups too. So there's both of them. The one that I just can't get over enough, I mean, the college groups are great, and I love them, and I go to them, and I speak to them. And if you're listening to this and you're within 5, 6, 8-hour drive of Champaign-Urbana, let me know, and I can come talk to your group. The thing that we've started to do now is get to high schools, and there are way more high schools in the United States than there are college groups. And one of the things that, and I guess I'll just say it here, I keep meaning to make a blog post. I have time limitations just like everybody, but one of my ideas is that every SSA group goes and finds a high school and helps start a group every year in their area near their university.
Yeah,
because
I think
if I show up at a random high school, it looks a little weird. But if you show up at a high school near you and you're only a couple years out of school, and you try to find some people that want to join, and you help them, and you help get them the starting kit from the SSA, and we could start 400 or 500 high school groups in the next year or so.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that this much, college, it doesn't just change the minds of ones who are already made it there, but we get a lot of students from overseas here, and I happen to know, I'm not going to out anybody, but I know that there are apostates and atheists among those, and that they're taking their opportunity to be here to learn and grow, not only as a human being, but outside of their religion where they can be free to express that. So college is a great opportunity for people to come out of the closet at some point in their life.
Yeah, we got to get more of them out. And it's not just the growth. It's the fact that the growth is growing at a faster rate. I really think that we are just about 4, maybe 8 years from not just a political recognition, but downright political pandering. And I'm looking forward to that. At this Reason rally, we had 2 U.S. senators and or representatives, I can't remember which ones they were off the top of my head, that made video announcements to the Reason rally. And, Obama's occasionally mentioned the non-believers, and it's platitudes. And it's a recognition, and I'm very happy to have recognition, because that didn't exist just 4 years ago. But in 4 to 8 years from now, I am expecting some downright serious pandering to us, even if they don't follow through. I want the things that need to be said, because according to the new Pew Forum, the nuns, which aren't all atheists and agnostics, are almost 20% of the population. In 8 years, I really expect that to be 30% of the population, and 15% or so of those are going to be out atheists. And if you can get all of them to vote one way or the other, you're going to win the election.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that day when religion is not part of what they talk about on stage, that it's something they hide and they keep to themselves, and they talk about the real issues, and religion is something they leave behind because they know it won't win them an election. I hope I live to see that day.
Yeah.
And Jamila is on the line with us. Jamila, are you there?
Hi. Good afternoon, evening. How's it going?
Well,
it's going good.
How are you?
I guess I have to apologize. I keep getting confused with Central and Eastern time, and I thought I had it all right. So my fault for giving you the wrong time to call in. And thank you so much for calling an hour earlier than you thought you needed to.
Oh, hey, not a problem at all. I've got My Little Pony going, and the kid is watching the fall Nightmare Moon celebration episode, one of my personal pony favorites, so it's all good.
Oh, okay.
Now, just a little backstory, if I may. Jamila and I met, it was Iowa, right?
Iowa, yes, indeed.
Yeah, we were both at the American Atheist Convention. I guess it's a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. And my wife and kids who had come to the convention, we were in two just separate cars, and they went back to the hotel, and I went back to the hotel and waited in the lobby for them. And Jamila, who's this important, famous person in the atheist movement, stopped and talked to me. And the big problem that Jamila has is that she's almost as big a talker as I am. So Carol and I started a conversation in the lobby of that hotel, and about an hour later, my wife called me, and she says, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm in the lobby waiting for you to come back." She goes, "We've been up in the room for an hour." I was like, "Oh, I guess I should go find my family now." And then last year, didn't you came to U of I to speak with the students here?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact.
Why don't we start off with that and tell us about how that worked out for you?
Oh dear, you're gonna pin me to which speech I gave when. I do remember being challenged on someone wanted to pin me down about a very obscure pro-life argument. I'm friends with everybody, but some people read enough to be dangerous. And someone was going, I'm an atheist, and Anne Rand, blah 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 blah, and abortion is always wrong. And I said, what a privileged young person you must be that at 21 years old you can prescribe for everyone. That much I remember. I think the talk I gave was the need for more, greater diversity, not just in race and gender, but in, I really think it was experience and background. I'm talking about some of, now I do remember that speech. I was talking about media snafus and things that would not happen, that those of us who at least try to be abreast of science would not have found so hard to get across in the media. So, I do a bit of talking. I'm a reporter by trade, so I am always arguing with someone and getting yelled at by someone. And it's not a good week if someone hasn't been angry at me. So that's the life I lead.
So where are you working now? Who are you writing for?
I'm in Washington, D.C., and I host a show, and I'm a reporter for a network called The Voice of Russia Radio. We're 30 years old worldwide, but in the U.S., the D.C. Bureau is the newest one at about, we're a year and a half now. I also contribute to the Washington Post, their blog, She the People. I contribute as well to Black America Web, which, if anyone is familiar with Tom Joyner, who is the #1 urban radio host and has been for a long time. I mean, his numbers are obscenely huge. So they've just brought me on as a political analyst and writer, so I contribute to them as well. And on occasion, you might see me on MSNBC. So I stay really busy, and that's why I can't remember things until I start talking about them, and then my memory gets dulled. I've got a really great memory, but a whole lot of stuff on my plate.
Oh, that's all good.
And I'm going to pick your brain. Just a few weeks ago, Montgomery, Alabama, we met.
Woohoo!
And we do appreciate you coming. That was really good to have you at our first ever Alabama secular meeting. We love that. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Y'all put on a great show. And like I mentioned, Montgomery is pretty much coming home to me. My family is from Union Springs, Alabama, and I spent all of my summers as a child growing up spending time in Bullock County. So I recognized where I was at, and it was quite fun.
It was. We really enjoyed it. It was a great event. Shelley Siegel did really well. The podcast you did with Blair Scott, I have to ask, are you even half as intoxicated on this one as you were on that one?
Okay, I did not know that honey whiskey was that good, and I did not know it would affect me as much on like, I hadn't eaten anything. I think I had like half of a bagel, and then 7 hours on, 8 hours of honey whiskey. Did I say 8 hours? 8 ounces. Listen to me. I plead the fifth. 8 ounces of honey whiskey, and Blair is, Blair knows how to just bring out that whole just foolishness in me. I don't know. It's a gift he has, I guess one could say.
Well, we will encourage our listeners to find that Critical Eye podcast. That was really good. I appreciate that.
I could never run for public office now.
Not after that podcast. No, that one did it.
Oh.
You got some help there, I hear.
Yeah. My best efforts to keep the child quiet are not working. Somebody's tired of somebody. Yeah. See, I thought with that time difference, I thought hubby could take his nap, so he wouldn't be cranky, and then the kid would want to take the nap. But since it's an hour earlier, I got a sleeping husband and a wide awake kid. So we do what we can. Honey, mommy is working. Please. Yeah. Sometimes you just. Yeah. Anyhow.
It can be his first podcast.
Honey whiskey could work.
Actually, I think it's the second. There was one where he jumped on my head. That was Ian Cromwell, the Communist Manifesto. He did a video podcast thing with me, and I don't let my kid get photographed. It's a little thing it's a quirk I've got. And the kid kept running past, and it was just after bath time, so that made it real easy to say, this is why you can't put my kid in the podcast. I gave him a job to do as far as editing out my running around baby. But, of all the problems to have, a happy, energetic, healthy, giggly boy, I'll take that.
So what projects are you working on right now you can tell us about?
Okay, so I'm covering the election. I am on a beat that I've created for myself. Not that I'm the only one reporting it, but it's in my newsroom. I am Little Miss Disenfranchisement Watch. Anything going on where people are having trouble voting, where
that doesn't happen in America, does it?
Well, we'll see. There are UN observers who are going to be looking at our elections, and they have cause to do so. So,
hey, maybe you can tell me. You're the expert here. What do you know about not Mormons? Mitt Romney's son owning a company that owns voting machines?
Well, Diebold machines, and I believe those are the kind that tag the "I want to punch out the president" Romney.
Yeah.
Is investing in. Diebold machines more than 2 years ago, but there was the news really came to a head, if my memory serves, 2 years ago. Really, there was some company that said, not only can we remote hack these machines so that they will vote one way, period. We can change individual votes and do all kind of things remotely. You won't even know it's happening, and we'll show you how. Allegedly, Diebold took that information and said, yeah, but never really made it widespread, because the truth of the matter is that nobody that has been proven yet actually remotely hacked their machines during an election. But it's sort of like saying, well, here's the back end into a program, and we're not going to use the patch because, nobody's gotten into our program, and you hackers are just looking for something to make a problem out of where none exists. That's sort of the line from the Diebold company. The fact that Tag Romney is actively purchasing these machines in Ohio, which is a state that no president has not won the election unless they got Ohio. No Republican, absolutely. I got to double check that fact. I don't think a president's won without getting Ohio.
No, I've heard that, and that's
yeah.
true.
we know that is a contested state. We know it's in play. And the fact that the son of the president is buying machines in that state, it smacks to me of, need for watching and looking into at the very least. And I'm being very gentle in my assessment.
Now, when you say he's buying machines, what does that mean? He's buying machines to put in his garage? I mean, what's he doing with them?
Well, he's purchasing them so that they can be used in elections in various jurisdictions. Now, where they will be, I have to admit, I don't absolutely know. But it does beg the question, you've got some serious skin in this game. I mean, you're the kid of the main contender here. What would make you have interest in doing this, and why would you do it if there was no advantage to you to do so? Something ain't right in Denmark, I think Shakespeare said. It really makes me want to deeply investigate and look into that. And I have to admit, I am absolutely talking with some reporters and some voting rights activists in Ohio, planning to have them on my show come election day to talk about this kind of thing. The thing about it, the financial interest that the Romney family would have in purchasing these machines, you need to know two things. Number one, these machines can't be monitored by the public. There's no way that you know what a person ticks, what box they tick going in and coming out. And you also need to know that when Mitt Romney and Tag Romney or whatnot invest in the company that's buying these machines, they buy these machines, they sell them to certain municipalities. They get financial reward for doing so. So it's just there's the financial aspect. There's the frankly, democratic fairness aspect that doesn't seem like it works. And then there's just the whole smell test, which it doesn't pass. I'm looking into it, and a lot of others are looking into it as well.
Well, I happen to be an Ohio voter, so for me that is a bit concerning. I already know that I'm very liberal and have no intentions of voting anything for Romney. So it is concerning, and I know that we've already had the issue with them trying to, close certain election voting areas early, and they tried to pass that through the state. And so it's a wild one here in Ohio. And I know that we are a definite swing state that whichever way it goes tends to be who the president becomes. And I got to see the president a few weeks ago at campus where I go, Kent State. And I know that there was a huge outpouring of students who wanted to see him, and not just students from Ohio or from the United States, but from other countries. And the word was, that they have a lot of respect for him versus Romney. So I would be amazed if suddenly all of what I saw and the nature of support for him flipped towards Romney. That would definitely be disturbing, and I would find that a bit fishy as well.
Yeah. So a lot of people are monitoring, and a lot is going on. So that's my day to day. What I'm doing in the office. I'm also working on a book that's a critical look at the role religion plays in the lives of African American women. And boy, is that keeping me busy too. I picked African American women. Coincidentally, I am one. But I wanted to look at the most religious demographic in the country and figure out why so religious, what benefit comes, and really just say, okay, well, more than 80 of African American people, men and women, say that they have absolute certainty that there is a higher supernatural being. Many people refer to that as God. And black women, it's something like 91% or something. Statistically speaking, I don't exist. I mean, I'm such a minute percentage of African American women who will use the word atheist to describe themselves. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm rare. That doesn't mean that I'm unusual. It means that there's a PR problem with the term atheist, and I investigate a bit of that in my book. I'm still writing. I probably have another 5 to 6 months of writing to do, but I'm pretty excited because this is super fun.
Well, that's great,
and a very good topic, by the way.
Yeah,
well, thank
absolutely.
you.
And
so you don't think the average African American woman can just walk away from the church? Is that doable?
It's not about walking away from the church, because a lot of people do that all the time. They, oh, I'm too busy. Oh, this project at work. Oh, wow, has it been a year? Really? There are a lot of people who do that. But to tell your grandmother, to tell your mother and your family that you think that Reverend Creflo Dollar or whatever doesn't really have their best interest at heart, and you no longer can play into the mythology they put forth. It is to sever ties in a lot of cases with your, not just family, but your community at large and your culture. The narrative is such that to be African American, to be authentically black, whatever the hell that means, but to be authentically black is to be so-called God-fearing, and that means Christian. Now, if you're not Christian, you can get away with that by being Muslim or, claiming that, quote, I have a personal relationship with God. I'm spiritual but not religious. But to come out and say I'm an atheist, I mean, that's something that white people do. That's something that means that you actively divorce yourself from the culture from which you come. You can't do that. Black people aren't that. And the group identity supersedes that supposedly very personal relationship. And if you choose atheism, you are choosing against your culture and your race, and you just can't do that. So I don't know if I'm black anymore or what, but I think I am. My DNA hasn't changed. Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that there is, because I know that we've had our guest that calls in, Kevin, from time to time, and he has talked about this. What is the addiction within the black community to being dogmatic? Why do you think it's so predominant?
Well, let me be clear on two things. Number one, I've never gotten the position of being able to speak for the entirety of Black America. I do want to be clear about that. I also want to make a point of saying that, I think that there are a number of issues that the shorthand is, well, that's just dogmatic. Well, that's just, that's just tradition that you refuse to break free of, even though it won't serve you any longer. I think there is a bit of that, but I don't think that's all there is. There was a time when the group identity was the only identity that a person of African descent living in America had that could protect him or her. During the pre-civil rights era, and frankly, I call it the so-called civil rights era. It was so much more than just civil rights. It was a human rights movement. It was a movement for self-governance. It was a women's rights movement. It was a children's rights movement. It was so much more than just that shorthand that I think it diminishes the importance of all that was fought for and struggled for. And don't let me forget that it was also a gay rights movement. Brother Outsider, he was called, Bayard Rustin, a homosexual atheist who was the right-hand man in a lot of respects to Reverend Martin Luther King. He was fighting for the rights of others who were, as was he, to be fully actualized and fully granted the right of citizenship in this country. That's the editor and me giving all my disclaimers up front. Now, dogma is a comfortable place to be. It's what you know. It prescribes your position, and it helps you to figure out how to behave and interact in your culture. When we look at societies, and again, I'm using shorthand here. There are always exceptions, but it is fair to say that regimented societies where position and behavior are prescribed. If we look at Japan, for example, particularly pre-1990 Japan, before this whole global economy made everybody change the way they do management. When you look at the workplace in a culture like that, you know how you do things, you know what you do, you don't deviate very much because that's just not the way it's done here. In many parts of the South, the way you interact with people, the way you introduce yourself to a new person, particularly one who's probably who's older than you, or there's a rank difference. These are things that you do because that's the way the society goes, and you're rewarded for that. A child who understands to say yes, ma'am, and no, sir, will get a little bit of a pass for the times where he doesn't, because we know this is someone who understands the social order. When we look at communities that are insular, where everyone knows one another, where your standing very well comes from not just your own behavior, but that of your family, a family where the kids get on and go to school and do well and go to church, that's a family that's going to have higher esteem than one where the kid gets pregnant at 15, the boy is in boot camp because he's too young to go into an adult facility. These are things that are considerations. So when anything is going on in a family, to be able to say, well, my kids ride that church bus, and they're in Sunday school, and they're in church every week, and then the boy is in choir every Tuesday and Thursday. Those are things that are very helpful to the standing and the community of a family. Let's assume for a minute that boy at choir practice every Tuesday and Thursday is gay. Well, if he's known as a church boy, nobody's pushing girls at him now, are they? It's very easy for him to say, look, I'm in the church. I like to sing, and I do it for the glory of the Lord. The church does provide sanctuary. The church particularly provides sanctuary from that dating, mating game to people who are outside of the heteronormative expectations of the average Black American family. Again, I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm speaking to a large swath. So the church does provide protection. The dogma of my kids are going to go to church, my family's going to go to church. If I was a single guy, I would stay in the church because all the women are there. And it's really easy to go, I struggle with the temptation of these sexual desires, and can you help me with that, sister? It's a great. Fish in a barrel are easier, are not easier. Women in church, that's where they go. And, let's study. Pastor really made sense to me. I'd like to pray with you, sister. What are you doing tonight? It's a great pickup line, and nobody would assume it is the way it's done, and there are so many ways that you can exploit it to your own good. You can use it to help you with the dating mating game. You can use it to help you stay away from the dating mating game. If you're, you know, and not to say that only, you know, only people who are not heterosexual use the church to help buffer. That if you genuinely believe that to indulge in premarital sex is to imperil your mortal soul, well, go somewhere where other people feel like that. You know, go somewhere and you know, sing songs about resisting temptation, and, you know, get involved in the deacon board and the usher board and the this board and the that board, and keep your time occupied with things that don't involve dating behavior, and you still manage to know your community members and be seen, and you get to dress up and every Sunday wear a great hat. So the dogma that exists, the rigidness and routine about showing up to these things and taking part in these things, it has a purpose. I would argue a greatly diminished one in modern day. But you know, when I say that sitting in Washington, D.C., if I lived in, you know, Tidewater, Virginia, or somewhere in Mississippi where the only thing going on is church, I might feel very differently.
Yeah. You know, Carlton Pearson, that was the guy you were going to debate here at U of I a year and a half ago.
Yes.
He was hysterical. I wish you could have come just to see him talk. We talked about him a little bit last week, and he had at one point he had said that when he was a pastor in the church, that women hit on him all the time, and then in the way he talked is hysterical, because he said the women hit on me all the time. He said I didn't hit back every time.
Every time. That's a good one.
He was hysterical. He is officially, and I told him to his face, he is officially my favorite bishop on the planet.
Oh, there you go. Yes, the bishop who was thrown out of the church because he doesn't believe in hell.
Yes. Yep. And he thought everyone had a chance, and that there wasn't hell, and the church should spend far more time feeding the poor and taking care of those that need a hand. And they said, you're going to have to go.
Yeah. You know, it's hard to sell people on the need to tithe and the need to do as pastors say when there's no stick. You know, when all you're selling is the carrot of heaven, eternal paradise. You know, I get so upset when people talk about, you know, 72 virgins, what kind of fool believes that? Well, if I'm a young and poor heterosexual guy in the Middle East, why not? I mean, it's paradise. I don't know what young men, I have an idea what young men fantasize about, but, you know, 72 virgins look like the, you know, why that's paradise. I mean, Christians are told you will go to paradise. Well, what does your paradise look like? I imagine everybody in paradise who's male is available and has a neck like Henry Rollins. I mean, that would be paradise for me. You know. Well,
I can only assume that these men are, like you said, young men, because if they had been around a little bit longer, they would realize they don't want 72 virgins. And of course, I don't recall anything in the Muslim tradition that says that those 72 virgins are women.
Oh, there we go. You know, nuns pack and heat count too.
Before you blow anything up, get it in writing that if that's your thing. I mean, if the other choice is yours, that's fine too. But if you're looking for 72 women, you better make sure those virgins are women before you give it up.
Indeed. What if he's gay? I mean, what if he doesn't want female virgins but he can't admit that, you see, you know, so maybe that's paradise. They'll stop trying to get me married to a girl.
Yes, the whole virgins in paradise is a bit twisted, and the only virgins that I know of are the Catholic priests, and most of those aren't. So, there you go.
There you go. But I mean, just because those who follow Islam have codified what is paradise to them, doesn't mean that theirs are any less realistic or laughable. That come on. I mean, the land of milk and honey is still being used as an idea of what is a great place to go. I mean, that biblical reference, the land of milk and honey. Well, I happen to be lactose intolerant, and if I'm vegan, I'm not going to be eating honey anyway. So, vegan, lactose intolerant people don't get a paradise for Christians. That doesn't make sense to me. That's cool.
I remember that. That's great.
And where did this 72 women come from when there's only one man? Is there 72 to 1? Or do we share? What's the deal?
Well, they come from co-ops, by the way.
Oh, yeah, yeah. God cares about your underwear.
Yeah, the population should be 72 women for one man, and that's not the way it is. So I don't get it.
I've had a conversation with a Muslim on this topic, because I was like, well, where do you get your 72 virgins? And supposedly Allah creates them, and they become a virgin again, time after time. So it's an interesting concept. I don't know that I would want to be a virgin over and over. It'd be pretty frustrating. So
what's the
obsession? It is a shared thing.
Yeah. they are afraid to get some man cooties or something. They're afraid to get man cooties. Another man already touched this girl. She's not worthy. And that whole thing just, and it's all about oppression and keeping women in their place. And
absolutely.
I'm going to protect you by completely covering you so no one can see you, and you can't go out unless you go out with me or your brother or your daddy. It's all to protect you. Oh, come on. It's because these men don't have the self-confidence and sufficient-sized balls to be able to let their woman out and do her own thing.
We all the need to control crosses boundaries. There are a lot of American women who all of a sudden, can't go out with their girlfriends, and why are you wearing that top, and don't put on all that makeup. It was fine when you were dating, but the minute it's like you're my woman, or
well, we had I don't know if Jamila, if you heard that I protested a Catholic church this morning over in Springfield, Illinois. And at the end of our time, we were getting ready to leave, this one woman did come up to us and say, I support what the bishop does. And someone from the group says, do you support everything that the bishop does? And she says, yes, absolutely. And I said, what if he says to kill? And she's like, I need to go. I'm like, you didn't answer the question. But she says, he is the shepherd and we are the sheep. And then someone else yelled out, you know what shepherds do with those sheep, don't you? I didn't even mean that part, but they go to slaughter, when they're done.
Yeah, the only interest the shepherd has in his flock is a fiduciary one, and it always winds up with the sheep dead and all of its little parts being used. So if you want to be meat and skin and wool for somebody, I guess you need a shepherd.
I guess you do, but that attitude, that one of my litmus tests when I'm talking to fundamentalists, whether they're Catholic or Protestant, I will ask them if they heard the voice of God and they were convinced it was the voice of God and it told them to kill their child, would they do it? The speed in which they respond indicates the severity of their illness. If they spontaneously say yes, I know there's really no point to having a conversation, to carry on the conversation. If they sit and they think real hard and go, no, I couldn't do that, then we can talk. When that first came up when my kids were going to church, I told them that if it meant that I had to disobey God and go to hell for not killing you, then that's what I would do. Even if I believed that God was real, which I don't, I still wouldn't do it because that's just a bullshit deal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's frightening. It really is frightening. The control that people submit to. You know, it's one thing. You know, a lot of those who came up and were taught as children and never had any opportunity to have their beliefs challenged or their thoughts, even examined at all. That's one thing, but in this modern day, you can't go on Facebook without seeing someone lay out a wonderful examination of this is why what you've been taught is wrong, or this is why you need to question when your when your reverend says this or that. Now it's willful ignorance, and that is the most maddening kind.
That's what it is. It is willful ignorance, and thankfully for me on Facebook, I'm long past the stage of pissing off people because they're gone.
Yeah.
The people that got upset. The very first time you say something about religion, you get someone who you think is a friend or used to be a friend that attacks you, and you've got to decide as an atheist, do you crawl back in your hole and give them the ability to say all the prayers and say all the lovey-dovey things they want about religion, and you're going to keep your mouth shut, or do you get equal time? And if you stand up and demand equal time, they're out of there because they don't want to hear it. It will shake their faith, and they know it.
Yeah, indeed. And that's why they need to demonize you, and they need to call you every wicked name they can, and they need to, gather up their children and hustle them away from you as quickly as possible because, as the Taliban knew, shooting that little child in the face, a thinking child with some good information will decimate that mythology any day, every moment.
Absolutely. Well, it's just like Jehovah's Witness when if you leave their organization, they don't recall it a church, you are worse than an atheist because an atheist has never been exposed to the truth, has never accepted the truth. But if you had the truth and leave, you're the worst kind of person because you're possessed by the devil or something like that. They don't want you around because you can talk the talk and you might explain to someone else what's going on.
Indeed. And, one bad apple spoils the bunch. So
That's right.
Yeah. We do have a
you,
question on one of the lines, if you want to go to that. Hold on just a second. Let me see. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Is this Kevin?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you, Kevin. What's your question?
Oh, okay. I had a question for the guest. I'm a black atheist, as the hosts already know, and I was wondering because I have my dad, he's very hardcore Baptist, and the rest of my family aren't really into it too much, but they have a really strong belief in God because that's how they were raised, and I'm quite unsure because everyone in my at least 98% of my family are believers, and it's kind of weird cause, how to I don't conform or try to conform as a family member with that awkward feeling being around people, everyone that and they know I'm an atheist, and it's you kind of get kind of weird vibes at times or weird stares or you might hear an occasional praise the Lord directed towards you and stuff like that. And things get kind of awkward, especially like at Thanksgiving, right when everyone joins hands around the table in prayer, and it's like, it's like 50, 75 people in one room, and like, you don't want to like, you don't want to like back away from the table, but you want to kind of like do it because it's like as a family thing, and it's like you don't want to pray, and you don't want to have to explain to everyone, while everyone, the whole family is together, that you're an atheist, and then that gets kind of awkward. And like, what would you recommend? I don't know if you've ever been in that kind of situation before.
What time is it now? I'm in that situation quite a bit, and I struggle with what to say because I rather enjoy confrontation. I rather enjoy being the one who like, you go ahead and do your prayer. I'm not going to pray with you, But the thing about it is that when you want to maintain the relationship with people, something. I don't know how to be the bigger person. I'm really bad at it, and anyone who's ever worked with me can tell you I don't pretend very well at all, and I have no poker face. So, the best thing I do in that situation where everybody's going to be doing the prayer is I get up and physically leave and go into the bathroom or go out on the porch or coincidentally take a work phone call until I know the prayer is over, and then I come and join after. I think it's no different for anybody to try and force me to pray than it would be for me to make them sing Tim Minchin's Pope song, which is a wonderful song about you shouldn't abuse children or protect those who do. The hard part is that, particularly for African Americans, every event you go to starts with some kind of Jesus invocation. Every so often they'll throw out, and for our Muslim brothers and sisters. But if you want to go to events that connect you, you do have to deal with this foolishness, and I have no problem calling it foolishness. Again, this is me being as polite as I get. One of the things that I recommend is, there's no problem sitting there silently. If you do mind that people will look at you and people will have a problem with you, sitting there silently will draw people's scorn and in some cases ire. Physically being in the bathroom until the prayer is over and then coming back is some would say that's cheating. That might be your only option. But people who don't accept you and who, yes, Lord, at you, and only the atheist has said in his heart that there is no God. People who are doing that to you are doing, they're being rude at least. They're being hateful. They're being just complete asses, and they don't deserve any respect in return. Again, I like confrontation. I'm the type of person who, will ask, yes, Lord, well, which one? Oh, the one true one. Oh, who is that? Krishna? Oh, who is that? Well, if it's Thor's day, let us thank Thor for his mighty hammer. I mean, I will go into, you name a god, and I will give you an appropriate praise for that god. Right now I'm into goddess Kali, I'm learning about all the Hindu gods and goddesses, and I like to go through them. So, I enjoy that, but that is something, and that's one of the reasons why black folks stay silent. We know that there are a whole lot of us who are muttering bullshit under our breath when, our diabetic aunt who's had 3 tumors cut out of her praises Jesus for her healing. There are a lot of us going, kiss my whatever, when you hear this pastor is probably gayer than Boy George or whoever. I don't know who these children listen to, and his matching suits and his buff nails and his trimmed beard and mustache, looking prettier than anything this side of Christy Brinkley. You know, it's not about, oh, he's gay, that's bad. It's about he's being inauthentic, he's lying, and just wait until the young boys start coming out of the woodwork. Ted Haggard, come on, you didn't see that coming? Eddie Long, come on, you didn't see that coming?
Hey,
I can't wait for the little boys to. I'm so sorry.
You know how they fixed Ted Haggard?
How? Oh, he's fixed now. Tell me.
Yeah, because he's not gay anymore. He went to a camp, and my undergraduate degree is in psychology, and there's a couple different ways that you can do aversion therapy. For example, if you want someone to stop smoking, one thing you can do is make them smoke a whole lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. I would love a tape of that aversion therapy, just for for educational purposes only.
Yeah, how did they cure him? Was it like Boys Town gone wrong? Something? I don't know. Oh, damn.
It's raining men. Hallelujah. It's
Ted, these are your 50
it's a prayer when Ted sings it.
Yeah, you can't leave here until these. Anyway, but I was just curious. Sorry.
No worries.
I had another question, if you didn't mind.
Make it quick.
Pretty quick. We just got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Why does it seem like do you think the African American community would respond to atheism a little bit better, if it were made into almost like a trend, like a fashion kind of statement almost? Because it seems like they kind of something like that. I don't know, yeah, when you have these rappers, through music or just acting, because every predominantly African American movies usually focused on religion or has some religious messaging in it, and I was wondering, do you think it would be a little bit better?
We got about a minute, so Jamila, give us your answer.
I think it's possible, but I think we're getting away from that. I think if you look at the fact that the rise of YouTube, and particularly Issa Rae with The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, there are some things in there that make me believe that she's not all about the church. The fact that one of her characters is a hypocritical Christian makes me go, is she one of us? And she's blowing up and just got to deal with ABC television. So I think blacks and heathenry will be a bigger thing coming up.
I like it.
Yeah, wonderful.
A true message of hope.
And quick. That was a quick answer, actually quicker than I expected, but yay. So, all right, Kevin, thank you for coming on, and hope you listen in next week. All right, guys.
Thank you, Jamila. We enjoyed it.
Thanks for coming
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Always
Jamila.
a pleasure.
It's been wonderful.
Go take care of your baby and your little boy.
Thank you so much. He's my joy, but boy, does he require work.
Yep.
Good night, one and all. Thanks again. It was my pleasure.
All right.
Oh,
bye-bye.
thank you so much. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week, and thank you all for joining us on the Pink Atheist. We'll be back again next Sunday. Thank you, David. Thank you, Jamila, and thank you, Kate, for coming on the show with us today. It was a pleasure having all of you, and we hope you have a wonderful week, and join us back here next week, and we'll do it again. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.